Hi everybody, this is Sean Sundahl. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for watching another one of my videos. Thank you so much for the support. If you like this video, please press the thumbs up. If you find this video helpful, maybe for others, please share it with others. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Thank you so much for being back. In today's video, my purpose is to cover some topics here. I want to talk about my new slide cut from JagerWerks. This is called the COVID cut. And I had also an optic cut for this Trijicon RMR Type 2, as you can see right here. In addition, I want to review Finks Gunsmithing service, or Finks Custom Gunsmithing. Finks is located at Gunsight Academy in Paulden, Arizona. I want to talk about the service that he gave me, that David Finks, the owner of the company, the service he gave me. And last, I want to talk about changing out the guide rods and the actual springs. Right here, I have a pure tungsten guide rod, and I have a super heavy guide rod, and both of these products are sold from the Glock store. I'm going to talk about both of these products. Very briefly, I'm going to discuss the DPM multiple springs recoil reduction system. This was NTO, member tested and recommended in 2012. I'm going to talk about my honest opinion on this product here. And mind you, I have the guide rod somewhere else, so it is missing the guide rod here. Guys, before we begin the video, I do want to apologize for the background noise. There's the neighbor's dog that keeps barking next door, and I'm recording from my garage. Hopefully won't get any distractions here. And also I want to be upfront with you, is I am not an armorer, and I'm not a gunsmith. I rarely talk about gun parts and how things work together. What I am is I'm a firearm instructor, California Post certified. Post stands for Peace Officer Standards and Training. I'm certified to teach in the rifle, pistol, and shotgun. I'm also RMR instructor certified. I could teach red dot optical systems for pistols. I have taken the pass the 2-day course, and that was California Post certified. In addition, I'm a licensed BSIS certified instructor. What that stands for is Bureau Security Investigative Services, and I'm able to qualify private security officers on the range in order to carry their firearms. So those are my qualifications. I'm not one of those technical guys. I can just explain to you things in layman terms. There could be some errors and omissions in my video. Once again, I'm not a qualified gunsmith. I've never even been in an armorer school. So that is my disclosure to you. I also want to explain that I normally don't do these types of videos, and there might be some issues with the lighting and camera angle and maybe the movement. This is not normally where I record videos, so again, I apologize in advance. But let's get started. Just like every other video, whenever we show a firearm, we want to show that it's in a safe condition. So the first thing that I'm going to do is make sure that there's no feeding device, there's no magazine in the well of the weapon. Physically inspected that. I'm going to put the slide to the rear, and I am going to physically and visually check for a live cartridge and any live cartridge and any obstructions, and there is none. Going to place the firearm on the vise block here. This is actually meant for pistol. Okay. So I got the slide cut. This is called the COVID cut here. And they cut this side, and the other side is exactly the same. And in addition, I had the top here cut, okay, here and here, it does expose the barrel. In addition, I had the slide, this portion here, milled so that it would accept a Trijicon Type 2 RMR. I purposely requested a backup rear iron here. This is blacked out. Okay, this is blacked out, and in the front is a red fiber optic red sight. Okay. Now, there might be some concerns here, and we're going to discuss that. So if you notice that the barrel is exposed right here, you see that? You can actually see the barrel. And here, the barrel is also exposed. This is one of the issues that I saw that it could be an issue. Now, this is designed as a duty pistol. One of the most common criticisms that I see is, well, there could be debris, sand, and other obstructions that might obstruct or restrict the free movement of the slide in action. And that's a possibility. But look at other combat pistols out there. You have the Beretta F that for the decades was used as the combat pistol, I think for the Army, right? Okay, they had the Beretta 92F. And with the Beretta 92F, the majority of the barrel is exposed. And this is something that's supposed to survive combat in all types of adverse conditions. So could something obstruct the barrel? I think that there's always that slight possibility. Now, one issue that I might have is with the slide cut here. I don't know if you can see it. Hold on a second, let me get a light. Okay, if you look down in here, you could see the recoil spring. There it is. You see that? Right here. The issue that I have is there's always that possibility that a small rock, grit, sand, debris, maybe blood, hair, you're in a fight for your life, maybe that can get caught up in the recoil spring mechanism. That is a possibility. But once again, there are combat pistols out there where a lot of the barrel is exposed. Will a piece of grit or sand or a mini rock, would that affect the recoil operation and possibly cause a catastrophic malfunction? I think there's a possibility of that. Okay, let's talk next. Let's talk about the next issue here. Well, really not an issue, but the reason. So Sean, you might ask, why in the world did you get this slide cut? Now, I'm going to be honest and say that the reason for the whole slide cut is for aesthetics. It looks cool. It looks neat. I mean, just look how nice job JagerWerks did. Okay, it looks great. And for me, I always want something new. And I've had this gun for a little bit over 10 years, and it just kind of sat in my safe for the longest time, and I just rarely used it. There's other guns that just look better to me, and I had a more enjoyable experience because of the look. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you, I wanted a change of look. When you get something that's new, you want to play with it. It's like a brand new toy. Now, obviously, guns are not toys. Okay, I get that, and you get that. But it's something that was new to me, or it's still new to me, and I want to just keep going to the range and shooting it. That is why. Competitive shooters, which I learned a little bit later, is that they will do the slide cuts to make the slide less heavier. And the reason for that is they can shoot a round that weighs a lot less, and when you where the grainage is less, and when the cartridge weighs less, okay, you're gonna have, well, when there's less powder in there, okay, you're gonna have for the most part more rounds on target a lot faster. You can shoot faster. Your typical 9mm runs about 115 grain. Competitive shooters, I think they'll shoot about a 90. I mean, some of them will shoot a 90 grain. Now, I'm not a competitive shooter. This is just some information that I learned over the internet. Some of them shoot somewhere. They'll shoot the lighter loads, less recoil, and they get shots on target. That's the reason for the slide cuts. Something that I learned about the slide cut is this: when you change the weight of the slide, you can actually affect the performance of the slide operation. The spring that is stock, here it is. This is a 17-pound stock spring. When you change the weight of the slide, you actually might have a malfunction issue. Okay, that could be there. Okay. By the way, I want to talk about. I was just talking about grit and sand. You guys, I just pulled this out, this recoil spring, and look at, there's already a rock in there, okay? And it still functions. Just a sidebar. Okay, back on JagerWerks. So I ordered the COVID slide cut. I ordered the cuts right here as well. Ordered the optic milling service. Standard service takes about 8 weeks. And when you add a nitride finish, and I added a nitride finish, beautiful nitride finish, you're gonna add about 2 to 3 more weeks. In total, it took about 12 weeks to get back this slide from JagerWerks. Guys, that is a long time, but the quality of the slide is outstanding. Let me ask you this: would you want to send your slide somewhere not knowing whether it's gonna function or not when it comes back? That's not the case with JagerWerks. They sent me a slide that worked great. Okay, let's move on here. By the way, no, I did mention this is a nitride finish. This is a stock barrel, okay? This is a Gen 3 slide here. Okay, this is Gen 3, and I made it on a Gen 4 frame. So Gen 3, Gen 4. Sean, why would you get a Gen 3 frame? Well, you might have a gun where you want to keep stock, totally stock. On the other hand, you might find a slide for a cheaper price where you want to do some modifications, and it's at such a good price that if there is a mistake in the milling service or the slide cuts, you still have a functioning gun and you can resort to your other slide. But that's one of the many reasons why you put a 3 on a Gen 3 on a Gen 4 frame. Okay. So JagerWerks offers something called a carbon cap, and it goes right here. Oh, by the way, if you don't get black nitride service or some type of paint coating on here, then you're going to have a slide that is missing some black, maybe here, maybe there. So you probably want to get it painted, and I paid extra for that. So from JagerWerks, I ordered the carbon cap right here, and what it basically does is, let's see if I have it. Oh, I actually have one here. Okay, this is a carbon cap. This was an extra, either $20 or $40. I don't remember the exact cost. but when this optic is removed, you can put the carbon cap on. Why do you want the carbon cap for? Well, just in case there's an issue with your RMR, and I did have an issue with this RMR, it wasn't maintaining the zero. And I did send it off to Trijicon, and they did send me one back, and I've had excellent customer service with them. I trust the zero that's on this optic with my life. When you remove this, you're gonna have this dead space here that just looks aesthetically ugly. Okay, it looks ugly. So if you have this gun for duty use or whatever use it has, you put the carbon cap on there, it looks flush. Okay, and that's why I have it. So let's talk about the actual screws. And this is where I had some issues. Okay, I can't be certain what size screw these are, and I apologize in advance. These are either the originals that Trijicon provided, or some screws that JagerWerks provided. I don't know, but I'll tell you this is the issue. This is your ejection port side. What ended up happening was this. This screw is supposed to be shorter than this screw, or they could be the same size actually. In my opinion, they could be the same size, just a little bit short. But if this is too long, it's actually gonna get the ejector. Okay, here's your ejector. It's right here. The ejector plunger stuck. Okay, it's gonna get it stuck, and you will not be able to eject more than one round. That's exactly what happened with me. Okay, you're gonna be getting double feeds and all kinds of nasty stuff. So let me show you something here. Okay, here's the extractor. Okay, it is under tension, and then you see how it's moving a little bit. Okay, it's going up and down with the tension. Actually, it's going left to right with the tension. If there was a magazine full of cartridges in here, okay, it would just start ripping the rounds out after each cycle. But because I put a screw that was too long, okay, it actually impeded the free flow of the plunger. It got stuck. That was a big lesson learned, you guys. So this is what I did. And I'm kind of jumping a little bit, but I took this to David Finks, who's the best gunsmith in the world, I believe. I mean, Gunsight Academy, they're not going to just let any gunsmith contractor in their school. They're not. And Gunsight, they have so many classes every single month that this gunsmith probably sees a lot of weapons. Probably 1911 style handguns. For those of you who are 1911 lovers, I like to mess with you guys sometimes, but they probably see them the most. So I took it to David, and I said, hey, this screw right here on this side is too big. Sean, don't worry about it. I'll cut it for you. So he cut it. Okay, he cut it. And this one, he left. By the way, guys, I marked with blue. I don't know if you could see it, but I got a blue pen. I marked from here to here, here to here. You want to mark your screws on the RMRs because these things will get loose, especially if you take a 300, 500, or 1,000 round course. These will get loose eventually. Use the blue Loctite or some type of thread lock. Don't use the red. I use the blue. So that's something else I wanted to just bring up very briefly. Okay, so The carbon cap screws, I want to talk about screw length. Okay, these screws right here, these are 632 by 516 IP15 screw. These are Trijicon RMR screws. These are 632 516 IP15. And these are Vortex Viper screws, 632 and 3/8. I don't know exactly what screw size these are, but if you're unsure whether or not your screw is going to affect the extractor plunger, I highly recommend that you buy a 5/16 torque screw, the 7/16 or the 3/8. Buy all three if you don't know. But before that, actually, a better idea, just call JagerWerks or wherever you get your slide cut and ask them, what size screw do I need? And tell them that you're concerned, and I'd send an email, tell them that you're concerned that the extractor plunger might get caught up at the tail end of the screw, and that's a major concern. And they'll tell you what the right size is. But my guess is that the extractor screw, which should be shorter, okay, I think that this is probably 5/16. And the screw on this side is probably, I'm guessing it's probably 7/16. So I think this is 7/16 and this is 5/16. Okay? But remember, this one can be longer, but this one definitely cannot go down too far. Okay? That's something that I learned, and for some people it might be a costly mistake. Let's talk about the guide rods. Okay? Okay, so this is the Pier Tungsten Guide Rod. This is the heaviest. And I'll show you how much it weighs. Okay, 54 grams. And the OEM guide rod, this is for generation 3. Okay. This is only 10 grams. Sorry about the barking, you guys. It's way beyond my control here. So I'm getting out of the package the super heavy tungsten guide rod. Okay, super heavy tungsten guide rod comes in at 41 grams. So this is what I learned about these guide rods here. Oh, one more I forgot to mention. Okay, this one here, you guys, the multiple springs recoil reduction system, I've noticed no improvement. The recoil actually feels like it's worse. Now these could be, maybe it's just me. They did get the green light, it looks like right here from NTOA. I think that's a National Tactical Officers Association. They got the green light to put this label on here. I think they did. I mean, why else would they have the label on here? But for me, the recoil just feels worse. So I'm gonna take this out. Maybe for you, it might feel better. Maybe there's something I'm doing wrong. Again, I'm not an armor, I'm not a gunsmith, but for me, this set did not work. So with these guide rods, I noticed a huge difference in recoil management. If I had to give it a percentage of reduction, the recoil that I felt less, I would say that there's about a 30% recoil reduction, maybe 25 to 30% of recoil reduction. What that means is I'm able to acquire the front sight or the red dot a lot faster. The gun recoils back to its original position just a lot faster. I basically can get more shots on target a lot faster. I highly recommend that you get the pure tungsten. I did feel a lot of significant reduction with the super heavy. What the differences are is price. So super heavy will run you about $70, and the pure ones will run about $130, $140 on the Glock store. Prices are always going to change, by the way. But this thing, it just feels weak. It feels flimsy, and it's only 10 grams. What it does is it sits right here, and during the cycle operation, okay, because the gun is a little bit heavier, it goes back to its original firing position a lot faster. Okay, you get shots on target a lot faster because of the weight. What ended up happening here is because of all the slide cuts, I'm actually eliminating weight. But with this slide here, the optic, I am adding a little bit of weight. But it looks like with this, I added enough weight. I think everything actually evened out. Okay, actually, I'm tempted to know what the weight of the slide is right now. So I'll show it to you. Okay, so this is the weight of a Gen 3 40 caliber slide with the Trijicon RMR Type 2 optic and the pure tungsten guide rod, 521 grams. In the comment section or description box, I'm gonna put what an OEM, the original Gen 3 slide is. I'm gonna have to do some research on that. I wanna see how much it weighs. I do believe that I did take off a significant amount of weight, but maybe everything else, like the optic and the heavy guide rod, maybe added to some weight. Okay, won't know for sure until I look at the stats. So David did a remarkable job testing out my gun. For the added guide rod, it claims 17 pounds, and the OEM weight of the spring, it's designed for 17 pounds. So I got a guide rod that meets the same specs. Okay, it says here, right there, 17-pound spring. Okay, I wanted it to be the same. I don't want no variation. And when he tested the weight of the spring, because it's supposed to have 17 pounds of weight, pressure, it came in like 17.3 or 17.2. So the manufacturer, the Glock store, is providing a product where the packaging shows an accurate representation of what the product really is. So it really is a 17-pound spring. And it says here, radically reduces recoil. Yes, it certainly reduces recoil. Now, the reason why I needed some type of system that has a recoil reduction is because with these Gen 3s that come with this flimsy guide rod, this is a 40 caliber, by the way, the gun just feels snappy, especially with Gen 3s. I shot a Gen 4 Glock 40 cal, and it does feel different. It feels better with the Gen 4. There's some better recoil management with the double recoil spring, but with the system they have here, it just feels so snappy. It just got to the point where I really didn't want to shoot it anymore. But I feel that I'm able to get more shots on target faster with this Gen 3 setup with this pure tungsten guide rod. If I had a Glock 17, or maybe a Glock 19, but really the Glock 17, I'm not too sure I would get a different guide rod. I want to stick with stock parts. The only reason why I got a modified guide rod is just for the recoil management. It's a 40 cal. That's the only reason, you guys. But if this was a 9mm, I don't want to change the parts out. I want to leave it stock. When I walked into Finks Custom Gunsmith, there was a couple there that he was assisting, and they asked about these guide rods, and David Finks said that in his opinion he didn't feel there was much of a difference. Now, but he did say, hey, that's my body, that's my hands, maybe the way I shoot, but he personally doesn't feel a difference. Now, I definitely feel a difference. I think this product is worth it. If you have a gun that's snappy like the 40 cal, 9mm, I still don't want to change anything around, you guys. Now, something that I did is this. On the range, I was having double feeding problems, and they were consistent, one round after the other. So I went to Finks Gunsmithing, which again is located at Gunsight. I talked to David, and I gave him a lot of ammunition. This is the benefit of seeing a gunsmith that is actually located or that has access to a range, like right at the site, especially the work site. He just goes to the back and he's able to test fire. That's what I like about Finks Gunsmithing is he can test it right then and there. So I gave him about 10 different magazines, and he test fired about all those magazines, every single one of them, and in total, he fired about 92 rounds. I'm going to say this once again, 92 rounds. And this is what he found. That the double feeds were caused by this magazine, a Men 2. This is designed for 40 caliber. It's designed for 15 rounds, but you can actually put 16 in it. These were consistently causing double feeds. David spent a lot of time with me showing me why this was happening, and I'll do another video on this actually, but just very briefly. With the OEM Glock mags, both sides of the walls here are enclosed with the steel wall. Okay, these ones are not. They're plastic, and look at. I mean, you could just. I can squeeze these things. Okay, there's no steel or metal reinforcement, and what ends up happening is when you load this to capacity, or even you just load it, okay, it loses its integrity because there's no steel walls on the sides. And also, in addition, this magazine, the specific magazine, feeds the cartridges too fast. And because it feeds too fast, you get the double feeds. So these mags, I'll use them he told me you can use them for training. For me, I think I'm gonna use them to teach others how to clear a double feed, okay? Again, David spent a lot of time with me showing me that these three magazines were the cause of the double feeds. He pointed at every other magazine that I had. He test fired them. He said, these are all great magazines except this Men 2 brand. He said at his gunsmith store, he has yet to find a Men 2 magazine that didn't have any feeding problems. So maybe they'll change their design, maybe not. I've heard really good reviews about a Men 2. Maybe I'm just having a bad experience, and maybe Gunsight their experiences with the magazines maybe aren't that too great either. maybe there's some other factor. Anyhow, I do appreciate him taking the time to show me that. In the end, David charged me a nominal fee for the time that he spent. I did tell him that this is a duty magazine, a duty weapon, and I could potentially use this on duty at work. And he made sure that this gun is gonna fire when I need it the most. He just took so much care in doing that, and he's an educator. He explains how the components works. He'll test fire the gun in front of you, and then you leave him a bunch of ammo and mags, which I recommend with everybody if you're having problems. He'll test fire them for you, and I'm sure he loves to shoot them, but he also likes to fix the guns as well. Okay, so if you're at gun site, you have problems with your gun, go to David Finks Custom Gunsmithing Service. I do not get paid or any endorsements, paid endorsements. I don't get any free products for what he does. I get nothing to benefit. He didn't even ask me to make this video. He probably doesn't even know who I am. A while back, he inspected a Staccato P for me that I was having some feeding issues, and he test fired the gun. And what I did before that is I tightened the extractor. He test fired the gun, and he told me, "Hey, Sean, this gun is good for duty," and it's a gun that I trust with my life, and I really appreciate him going over that. And again, I don't think he charged me anything. If anything, maybe a nominal fee. So his prices are very reasonable, and his service is excellent. I don't think I would want to go to anyone else, you guys, unless I know that they provide good quality service. Number one, there's reviews, and number two, that they have access to a gun range. I think that's very important as well. For now on, I learned my lesson. I'm gonna stick with OEM, the original magazines. Now, David Finks did tell me that Magpul makes excellent magazines for Glocks, and I did buy some, but he hasn't seen. I don't think he said he saw any issues, but he recommended the Magpul magazines, or obviously the OEM Glock mags. So you pick either two. These mags, like I said before, these are great for training aids. The trigger, this is stock trigger. I have no problems at all with a Glock stock trigger. The trigger feels like a Glock trigger. It does feel crisp. I'm not going to change that. I am running a Surefire X300. This gives me enough white light to be able to identify the target. I will only buy a Surefire. Surefire light does add weight to the gun, and because it adds weight, it will possibly reduce some muzzle flip right here. Red. Okay. Sean, why did you get a red fiber optic? Okay. Well, if I can do this all over again, and actually I might end up doing this. I might actually take this out and put a green. I prefer green. At first I was worried that the red dot on here would flush out the red fiber optic. Let me see if I'm able to show you this camera. Let me put it a little bit higher. And you know what? There you go. And it really doesn't flush it out, you guys. I took this gun to gun site. It was a 5-day instructor development course, and not one time during the course do I remember looking at or seeing the red fiber optic or getting it confused. I focused on the red dot. Now, one issue I might have is at night. At night, those of you who want the the green colored glow, the night sights, okay, I think that there could be an issue with that glow distracting you from the red dot. I think that's also a possibility. And for that reason, I wanted the fiber optics. And let me see if I'm able to shut off the light here, and you can see what it would look like at night. Okay, so this is how it would look like at night. You could still see the front sight, which is good. So if this thing goes off on you, would you be able to see it? Okay. I know you want me to turn off the light, so I'll do that. 1 second. Okay. It's a little bit more low light right now. Let's see. Okay, obviously it's pitch black. I think the only way that you would see the front sight is if there's ambient lighting in the area, or you turn on your flashlight. Okay, then you're gonna see that front sight. Now it's not gonna glow, but you're gonna see that it's there. And this is just in case the red light, I'm sorry, the red fiber optic goes out. Let me turn the light back on. I've been told by some people that the white light that comes out of the X300s does not flush out the red dot. I'm gonna disagree. This is the classic one, the X300. This is like one of the original ones. And I think this is enough light, but you have ones that are like 1,000 lumens. Guys, in my opinion, that does flush out the red dot on my Trijicon. It flushes out not too much, but to me significantly. Maybe just my eyes, but others have told me that it did not affect them. So that's all I got, you guys. This is my new duty weapon here, Glock 22, mounted on a Gen 4 frame. The first time I mounted it, I did have a problem with the front slide not going into battery. Now, maybe, perhaps, it didn't do that because this slide was not originally designed for a Gen 4 frame. But all I did is I looked at it again, make sure that there's no obstructions, and I read the slide back and forth about 5 times, and I had no issues ever since. The gun goes into battery every single time. No problems at all anymore. So it does fit. I don't know what caused that. It could have been the springs, or there could have been a small piece of material that prevented the slide from going into battery that came from JagerWerks, but I can't pinpoint the issue. One thing that you got to keep in mind with these springs, the pure tungsten springs, is that, and I say this again, because of slide cuts, there's less weight. You might need to get a spring that's lighter. But before you go out and you start spending $150 for a new spring of $60, $50, go to a gunsmith, a real gunsmith, okay, and ask them how much springs, how much pounds in the spring do you need? And that's exactly what I did. David, he kept cycling the gun. At first, he thought maybe it's the springs. He thought maybe I need a lighter spring. That's why I'm maybe getting the double feeds. There wasn't enough energy to cycle the slide back and forth. But after 92 rounds of testing, he said, no, it's not the springs. And by the way, when all this testing he did with the springs, maybe he broke in the springs. But he was certain that he handed me 3 magazines of Amend 2, okay? And he said the cause of the double feeds was the Amend 2 mags. That's it, not the springs, not the gun. The gun works great. He said, quote, the gun works like a machine, but it's just the 3 magazines. So that's all I got, you guys. If you like this video, press the like button, subscribe. If you have any questions about the setup that I have, please let me know. And that's all I have for you guys. You guys be safe, be creative out there, and be fair with everybody that you deal with out there. You guys all take care and have a good one.